Welcome to probably the techiest of the tech panels here today, arguably. But anyway, I'm happy to sit in and moderate this. My name's Chris Preimesberger. I'm a journalist. I was editor of eWeek for 11 years until a few years ago. And now I write my own, I have my own business and I write for several publications, including the New Stack, which some of you may have seen, or SDX Central, which is another one. And I'd like to introduce our panelists right here. And as soon as I can, there we go, we've got it here. Peter Huang, who is Senior Director at T-Mobile. And if you want to take a bow, you can. Okay, there you go. And next up is Chetan Kundavaram, and he is engineering leader at US Bank. Chetan, and then last but not least, Jason Russler is a technical director at Vast Data. So we've got three different perspectives on data, and we're going to be talking about data infrastructure for AI. You know, all the conveyance and the storage and the all the pipelines for all the the AI apps that we're talking about here today, and the data has to live somewhere. It's got to move from point A to point B and many points thereafter. And we'll talk about maybe some of the trends here in this. And we'll keep it just an open kind of a conversation. For now, I'm going to go to my carefully created, worded, ad-lib questions here for our panel. Our first question will be, in one sentence, what surprised you most about your data estate in the last 12 months? Peter, can we start with you?
First of all, I manage the network data, which is a little bit different than traditional, data management, which primarily driven from like a business system. So I'm primarily dealing with a lot of machine-generated data.
Right.
And given the wireless technology evolve and also our business evolve, for example, a few years ago, we don't have a home internet business. Now we have a big home internet business, which is going very fast. So that actually drives different type of data come to our system. Another thing I think is very, very different. What T-Mobile does business is we put the customer experience at the center of everything we do. So even we build site, before we based on how many population we cover. Now we are based on what kind of a customer experience we are giving to the customer. So we require different analytics.
Yeah.
So those, I think, more of a business drive, how we manage data at the scale and at the speed. So it's increasing the scale and increasing the speed. It's really challenging for me.
Remind me to talk to you sometime afterwards about phone spam, okay?
Yeah.
How can we get rid of phone call? I don't get too many of those.
Yeah.
Chetan, what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think, I've been in this data role for the past, 5 years now. Maybe past couple of years, right? I think this is a fundamental shift. You could kind of look at ChatGPT got introduced, and then everybody started asking, I want more data, right? Well, everybody started searching differently, and I think that has taught people to think about insights differently, and that's, I think, permeating into enterprises where people want data faster. They just want to ask it a question. You want the insight back, and not have to look at dashboards. So I think there is a lot of that going on, which I find very interesting. As a bank, we have petabytes of data, but how do you then enable not just the people in the next generation, all these agentic AIs asking the questions and the data? And I think that's the real interesting and challenging part.
How much do you think this is going to hurt conventional search?
I think
there's a world for both. There's use for both.
I think it's kind of just morphs into this natural way of just kind of creating insights, which this technology has shown, is very possible.
Jason, what's your data? What did we call it? Data estate. What surprised you about your data estate in the last 12 months?
I mean, I speak as a vendor, so it's a little bit different. It's kind of like, I don't know, being a nurse. You know, you've seen some stuff, and so I think what sits at the top of mind at the moment is what I'm thinking about. And I was just dealing with some stuff this morning, and it's the amount of hoarders that have actually been out there, and that's like, it's a good thing, right? Ultimately, there's a little bit of confirmation bias there because we work with the company specializes in deep systems. But there's a lot of folks that are just now beginning to use it because they've been saving it for so long.
Next question is for each of you. Where does your data live today? Is it in the cloud? Is it on-prem? Is it in regions? Is it all over the place? All the above? Peter, let's go to you.
Yeah, we have both. We have both on-prem and also public cloud. As you know, if you go to public cloud, you pay a lot of money to Microsoft, Amazon, and such, right? And it's OpEx. On-prem, we have about 2,000 nodes. We get a great help from Acceldata to help us manage. By the way, if you haven't convert from Cloudera and such, I highly recommend you convert. You save a lot of money. I was really cannot sleep a few years ago when I first thinking about how on earth I can get out of this jam. But finally, that divorce happened very smoothly. I don't have to pay a ransom for that. So I think it's a combination, right? It's always you have to judge the cost and benefit. Our on-prem system hosts a large volume of clickstream data. Basically, everything you do on your phone, we record it. It's about 600 terabytes a day, 1.5 trillion record a day, right? 70 petabyte in 3 months compressed. So is that really make sense to go to cloud and pay Microsoft? Probably not. So we are actually thinking do it differently. So
okay,
yeah.
Chetan, where does your data live?
Yeah, so our data is we have a hybrid approach, and we have data on-prem, we have data in the cloud, and we also have a multi-cloud approach. So on all those areas we have data.
What percentage of your data is in the cloud? You think? I mean,
probably 60%. I would say. We're moving our data lake into the cloud, and we're in the final stages there. So yeah, I mean, a big portion of it is in cloud.
Okay, Jason, what about you?
So, I mean, we're a vendor, so everything is on-prem, basically, or we are the backing store for several cloud service providers, and we're the standard for the neo clouds, the AI neo clouds that are out there. So everything sits on VAST, so it is by definition on-prem. We know exactly where it is. The biggest namespaces we don't really know because those tend to be fairly secretive, both public and private sector. But there are some massive spaces. So we just kind of count as the cloud in those cases.
How fast is your data growing? Chetan, you start off.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a specific number, but I can tell you like the pattern we definitely see is the frequency is changing. What maybe was somebody accessing it once a month is becoming once every 5 minutes, and that is putting a lot of demand on data and all. I also run our business intelligence platforms, and we can see it there on the dashboarding side. People want more frequent access to the data, in all shapes and forms. So that's certainly a trend.
Okay, Peter.
Well, my team is not just managing the data, right? We also produce insights and create a workflow. So there's a lot of AI-related, machine-related work, mixing with it. So in that sense, I think we have to, think through, which is a better tool for which job, those sort of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Did that answer your question? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much. Jason, what about you?
Yeah, what was the question?
How fast is your data growing?
Oh, that's really going to be a function of the company's growth and not really how fast the data is growing. But we've, I think, probably about quadrupled over the last year.
I think so.
So if you do some fuzzy math there, and we might do it again, we hope.
It can be very fuzzy math. That's okay with me.
So basically, our growth is really based on our subscriber growth, right? How many people are using T-Mobile and such. So it's a fairly public information. You can see how many subscribers we gain every quarter. That's kind of you can think about that's a proportion, and also how many people are using the data volume. You know, they play a video game, they play YouTube. Those are.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about spam afterwards, but I also want to talk to you about a free phone too.
Yeah.
Who hunts for data the most and why? Peter, that's you.
What?
Who hunts
data?
the most?
Pretty much everybody. Everybody is asking for data. Everybody is asking, the data now. But the problem is, I feel, is not really, data issue. It's more of a business problem issue, right? We are focusing on solving the most pressing issue. And we are primarily focusing on, those automation use cases people are talking about, but also try to tease apart the noise. Because people say, give me more data. But I always say, right, there is a signal, there's noise. Noise is also data, don't forget. So, but you don't want the noise, you want the signal, right? So, you have all the people asking for data, but I think what we are trying to drive is we try to drive the best outcome.
Okay. Noise can't be interpreted as something, can it?
No,
it can't.
It's just bad data. That's how people say.
Noise is really bad data. Right. Okay. I got that. Okay. So, let's see, where are we? I guess Chetan, let's see, who hunts for the data in your world and why?
Similar answer, I think, pretty much every business department and every user wants access to data. And I think, as Peter mentioned, right, I think the problem to solve is maybe not access to the data, but, what's the insight and how best can we provide the insight? Because just giving the data, you may be duplicating the data, you may have a data problem, and that has a lot of consequences, economic consequences like costs. So trying to kind of drive the insight better is a much impactful problem to solve for the company.
Okay. And Jason, you're a vendor, so who's going to be hunting for data? Just internally?
Yeah, I mean that's the analyst pursuant to their needs. I think what they're hunting for might be kind of creepy, depending on who it is. But it's the analyst pursuant to their needs.
Yeah, that's it. Which workload consumes the loudest share? Batch ETL, real-time inference, vector search, or something else? Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, I think primarily still the data processing. You could say batch, you could say mini batch, right? In our world, we don't have the true streaming yet. Most of the network device, they don't stream in the data to you. Most of them, they send you the small files. That is, I would say, majority of the workloads. Actually, AI is fairly small.
Okay. Chetan, what's your...
Yeah, I would say batch ETL-based workloads are pretty much the majority. We do have streaming, probably close second, I would say, but yeah, batch would be the...
Okay. Jason, can you kind of give us an aggregate view on this?
ETL is ugly. So, we're just working on a project right now that involves millions of records a second that need to be joined as part of the process. And that's trying to find a better way to do that. You can work and work and work. Maybe you'll get there, but it is ETL.
I think that's my use case.
Okay. All right. What can your current stack do comfortably for AI, and where does it redline? Peter.
Yeah, our majority of the AI workloads is on the cloud. Because we started about 2 years ago, primarily on the Azure, OpenAI stack.
Yeah.
So that's what we have right now, primarily.
Okay. Chetan?
Yeah, so I think we're as a financial services industry, we're a little bit more conservative on adopting AI. Certainly, we have our data lake in cloud. Where the problem we're thinking about is how do we enable this access of data across thousands of users, but also this scale and velocity that we might get with agentic all these agents. And I think that's the part we're kind of thinking about the architecture right now.
Okay. Jason?
So where do use cases redline?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, our entire architecture is predicated on not redlining, right? And so is linear scaling. So, which is what we do. So we efficiently use hardware. If you just want to throw hardware at it, you can throw it throughput and depth as well.
Very good. Thank you. What's one design choice you're glad you made 5 years ago, and one that's now a constraint? Chetan?
5 years ago, okay. I think separating data and compute, probably 5 years ago when we went into the Hadoop ecosystem. I think even today that
The what system?
Hadoop ecosystem, right pattern, constrained. I would say a lot of our, workloads are maybe batch ETL, and I think converting or kind of transitioning them into more real time is a constraint, versus they, today are more on some, cadence versus being real time or near real time.
Mm-hmm. Peter?
Well, I don't want to keep talking about the divorce. That was a good decision earlier, but I think we went to cloud. That was the right decision, because if we had not gone to the cloud, we couldn't even handle the merger with Spring, because the company size literally doubled. At that point, the data volume also doubled. So that was a very good one. But the constraint we have is the cost, right?
Yeah.
And then we also bump into some scaling in there as well. So we are thinking a new architecture, kind of a hybrid, but how to leverage the GPU maybe fast, right? We're still in some testing with you guys and Acceldata, and see how can we bring the CPU, GPU all together, rather than just cloud. Yeah.
Jason, what design choice did you have to make?
So, as a company, we've been around since 2019, and so I think that I can safely just sort of answer the question I want to hear, and that's our architecture, which is what we built on, which we call DAYS, which is it's a shared everything architecture versus a shared nothing architecture, and I can be happy to describe it to you up there, but that was the architecture choice, and that was a good one. So.
Very good. Latency versus cost versus carbon. Which two do you optimize and which one suffers? So, Jason, you get to go first on this.
Well, that's easy. As a vendor, we go latency and cost, and that's it. We just drill into it. Carbon's going to be a function of that. We don't control where people go, but we do drive down the TCO. We want to drive down power use. We want to drive down space, and we want to perform as quickly as possible on the minimal amount of hardware. And those are our design goals, and that's how we get carbon. So
that's how you do it. Peter, what about you?
Yeah, I would go with Jason. Is those cost and speed, right? Latency.
Okay.
Yeah, latency costs would be kind of your first order optimizations you do, and then carbon is your second order. In order to meet kind of the company goals, I would say.
Okay. In 2 years from now, what's your realistic CPU, GPU, ASIC split or ASIC split for the hottest AI workload? In 24 months, what is your realistic CPU, GPU, ASIC split for the hottest AI workload? Jason, you want to take that?
Well, I'm not sure that's going to change. Right now it's sort of, the convention is, 16 to 32 CPUs per ASIC or GPU. And I think that might start weighing more on the CPU side as
Really?
processing happens. I mean, when you do then on the training side, you're dealing with more and more complex data, and that's going to start kind of leaning a little bit more CPU if you're dealing with a lot of media or complex data formats. On the inference side, which is a lot more pertinent here, I mean, basically that's just a question of how many GPUs you got. I mean, that's kind of it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Peter?
You said 2 years?
2 years. Yeah.
I think I can be a bartender by that time, because AI will not replace a bartender. I could be wrong. George could correct me, but yeah, it's 2 years. Hard to say the percentage really, right? But for sure, GPU usage will go up for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much percentage.
It's an alpaca farm for me, but I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Jade?
Yeah, I would agree. 2 years. I mean, I think large number of GPUs, CPUs. I think there's a lot of optimization across these two to be done, and I think that's a bottleneck somehow we have to solve for cost. But exactly what's the ratio, and could something new emerge at the rate it could, like ASICs or some form of ASIC that's even better than GPUs.
Okay. Besides silicon, what layer must evolve next? The scheduler, the data locality, the governance, or cost controls? Jason?
Well, I mean, this is on-prem, so this is cost controls are super important. I mean, I think that's where everything is, particularly in the cloud. Governance we hear over and over again. It's a bit of a cliche now, but that question needs to be answered, and I mean that's something we're working on as a company, and that we have a solution for. But that's the question we get asked the most. So that is the question we're working on.
We're working on it. Okay. Peter?
Actually, I want to ask the audience, right? How many are really data people here? Pretty much everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I have the fundamental, I shouldn't say I want to use F word, but it's a fantasy, right? Different F word. It's how do you prove you mentioned about cost, but I want to focus on the benefit. Can somebody dynamically show me the cost and the benefit through maybe the future tool Acceldata going to build as a part of the governance dashboard? That will be fantastic.
Okay.
Because then I don't have to prove over and over again, I'm so cheap. I'm always cheap. I'm going to be cheaper. Because being cheaper doesn't give you a whole lot of good things, right? I mean, especially with the AI, we will be cheaper. It's all going to be the cost. But sometimes you have to spend, you have to invest to earn more money, right? So yeah, I think probably I'll still pick a cost, but I would add benefit in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Jaden?
Yeah, I would say maybe orchestration across the GPUs and CPUs, and how do you do it kind of effectively and make sure your GPU cycles are not wasted. I think that's a problem to solve. And probably going to be a bottleneck, especially at scales.
Okay. Our time is running real low, but how about this one? In 5 words or fewer, finish this sentence, please. I'm counting too, so it better be 5 now. The next AI infra bottleneck will be what?
Can you ask ChatGPT?
What?
I said, can you ask ChatGPT?
Yeah. Well, we sure can. Why not? Let's see. Who should go first? We can just. Who would like to go first?
I think it's going to be, data, right? Because, I heard, over and over again today, right? Data is running out, but actually it's not running out. But how you get the clean data, how you get that signal, how you filter the noise.
Okay.
I think that's going to be the key, because if you really look at the model, those models probably exist since the 1970s. The whole thing change was compute and, large amount of data.
So your answer is the next AI infra bottleneck will be data.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I can't say data, so I'm going to go.
Oh, sure you can.
I'm going to go into the horrors of product management and just say, from our perspective, it's commoditization.
Okay. Good. Jade?
I would say governance, the financial services industry, governance needs to evolve for scale.
Very good. Great perspectives, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to the 245 panel.